The rain had just started to fall when Daniel Carter saw something that made him slow down his car. It was the kind of moment that feels small at first, but later changes everything. A lonely bus stop stood under a flickering streetlight at the edge of the city, and beneath it sat a woman in an expensive coat, completely soaked, staring blankly at the road as if the world had forgotten her. Daniel's heart skipped a beat when he realized who she was. It wasn't just any stranger. It was Victoria Langston, the powerful CEO of the company where he worked as a night shift janitor. The same woman whose name was spoken in the office with awe, fear, and respect. The woman who owned half the buildings in the city, was sitting alone at a bus stop like someone who had nowhere else to go. Before the story continues, take a second to support this channel. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of unexpected moments, please like this video, share it with someone who needs inspiration today, subscribe to the channel, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from. Your support helps stories like this reach more hearts around the world. Daniel Carter wasn't the kind of man people usually noticed. At 38 years old, he lived a quiet, exhausting life that revolved around one thing: his 8-year-old daughter, Lily Carter. After his wife passed away 3 years earlier from a sudden illness, Daniel had been raising Lily alone. Every morning he made her breakfast, packed her school bag, and walked her to the bus stop before heading home to catch a few hours of sleep after his night shift cleaning offices in the towering Langston corporate building. Life wasn't easy. Bills piled up. Some nights dinner was just instant noodles and toast. But Daniel carried on with quiet strength, because Lily's smile made every sacrifice worth it. That evening, Daniel had just finished a double shift. His back ached, his eyes were heavy, and all he wanted was to get home before Lily woke up for school. But when he spotted Victoria Langston sitting there in the rain, something inside him refused to let him drive away. He pulled his small, aging car to the side of the road and watched for a moment, wondering if he was mistaken. After all, Victoria Langston was known for arriving at work in sleek black cars with professional drivers. She was always surrounded by assistants and executives. Seeing her alone, drenched in rain, felt almost impossible. Daniel stepped out of the car and walked toward the bus stop cautiously. The closer he got, the clearer it became that she looked nothing like the confident leader he had seen from afar in the office building. Her posture was slumped. Her face looked pale and tired. There was something deeply broken in her expression, as if an invisible weight had crushed her spirit overnight. He gently offered her his umbrella. Victoria slowly looked up, and for a moment confusion crossed her face. She recognized him vaguely, perhaps from passing through the building late at night. But the shock in her eyes wasn't because of who he was. It was because someone had stopped to help her. What Daniel discovered that night would change both their lives forever. Victoria Langston had just lost everything. Only hours earlier, she had been removed from her own company by the board of directors after a brutal internal power struggle led by her own business partner, Gregory Whitman. The man she had trusted for years had quietly gathered enough influence to force her out, claiming she had made risky financial decisions that endangered the company. The board believed him. Within a single afternoon, Victoria had gone from one of the most powerful women in the city to someone with no office, no position, and no control over the empire she built from nothing. Worse than losing the company was the betrayal. Gregory had also frozen several of her personal assets through legal loopholes tied to the company structure. Her driver had been instructed not to pick her up. Her office access card had been deactivated. Even her penthouse apartment was technically owned by the company's holding group, which meant she had been politely escorted out by security. By the time evening came, Victoria Langston had nowhere to go. That was why she ended up at that lonely bus stop. Daniel listened quietly as she explained everything in a slow, exhausted voice. He could hardly believe what he was hearing. To him, she had always seemed untouchable, a symbol of success so far above his world that their lives should never have crossed paths. Yet here she was, sitting in the rain like someone who had lost her place in the world. Daniel looked at her for a long moment, then said something simple but unexpected. He told her she didn't have to sit there alone. He offered to drive her somewhere safe. Victoria hesitated. Trust had just been shattered for her. But there was something honest in Daniel's tired eyes, a quiet sincerity that didn't feel threatening or manipulative. It felt human. So she accepted. Daniel drove through the silent streets until they reached his small neighborhood on the outskirts of the city. When the car stopped in front of a modest two-bedroom house with peeling paint and a crooked mailbox, Victoria realized something surprising. Daniel wasn't taking her to a hotel. He was bringing her home. The house was simple, warm, and slightly cluttered with signs of a child's life: school drawings taped to the fridge, colored pencils on the kitchen table, and a small backpack hanging by the door. Lily Carter woke up early the next morning and found a stranger sitting quietly in the kitchen while her father made pancakes. Instead of fear, Lily simply smiled and asked if Victoria liked strawberries. For the first time in years, Victoria Langston felt something unfamiliar: peace. Days turned into weeks. Victoria stayed temporarily in the spare room while figuring out how to rebuild her life. During that time she witnessed Daniel's daily struggles as a single father. She saw how he woke before sunrise to prepare Lily for school, how he worked endless hours, how he still found time to help with homework and read bedtime stories. Despite having almost nothing, Daniel lived with more dignity and kindness than most powerful people she had known. And slowly, something inside Victoria began to change. Then one evening, while reviewing old company documents she had saved on a laptop, Victoria discovered something shocking. Gregory Whitman hadn't just betrayed her, he had been secretly draining millions of dollars from the company for years through hidden shell accounts. The very accusations he used to remove her were based on financial damage he himself had caused. Victoria suddenly realized she still had one weapon left: the truth. With Daniel's quiet support and a determined legal team she slowly assembled, Victoria prepared to fight back. The case became one of the biggest corporate scandals in the city. Evidence surfaced, investigations began, and Gregory Whitman's empire of lies started collapsing piece by piece. Months later, the board had no choice but to reinstate Victoria Langston as CEO. But something about her had changed forever. Instead of returning to the same life, she made a decision that stunned everyone. She created a new foundation inside the company dedicated to supporting working parents and employees struggling with family responsibilities. Affordable childcare programs were introduced. Flexible work hours were implemented. Scholarships were created for employees' children. And Daniel Carter, the quiet single father who once cleaned office floors at night, was offered a leadership position in the new Community Outreach Division. He accepted not because of the salary, but because it allowed him to build a better future for Lily. Years later, Victoria often said that the night she sat abandoned at that bus stop was the worst moment of her life. But it was also the moment that led her to the one person who reminded her what real success truly meant. Before the story ends, we have a special request for you. If this story made you feel something, write the word kindness in the comments so we know how many hearts this message reached. Daniel Carter didn't rescue Victoria Langston with money, power, or influence. He rescued her with something far more powerful: human kindness. And sometimes, that is the one thing capable of changing the entire direction of a life. If this story touched your heart even a little, please take a moment to like the video, share it with someone who believes kindness still exists in the world, and subscribe to the channel for more emotional stories like this. Your support truly helps these stories continue to inspire people everywhere.